Once known as South Carolina's untouchable legal dynasty, the Murdaugh family was like royalty in the Low Country. A family whose influence extended far beyond the courtroom and into the culture of the community itself. But in 2021, the Murdaugh name began to unravel in a web of tragedy, suspicion, and dark secrets that left people wondering, how could such a powerful family fall so far, so fast? Let's go back to that fateful night in June 2021, on the sprawling Murdaugh estate known as Moselle. It was a quiet evening when Alex Murdaugh, the family patriarch, reported finding his wife Maggie and youngest son Paul brutally murdered.
This is Alex Murdaugh. My wife and child shot badly.
What is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
The news of their deaths sent shockwaves through the community. It was hard to believe that something like this could happen to the Murdaughs, a family that seemed untouchable. But this tragedy was only the beginning of one of the most baffling cases in recent history. The murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh opened the floodgates. The story took a dark turn as investigators began to connect the dots between the Murdaugh family and several other strange, unsolved cases. For example, just 2 years earlier, in 2019, Paul Murdaugh was involved in a fatal boating accident that claimed the life of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. Paul, who was allegedly intoxicated at the time, was charged with multiple counts of boating under the influence. Many locals felt that the influence of the Murdaugh family would protect Paul from justice, as it had done so many times in the past. Could this accident have been a motive for revenge? Or was something more sinister at play? But the threads linking the Murdaughs to tragedy didn't stop at Mallory Beach. There was also the case of Gloria Satterfield, the family's longtime housekeeper. In 2018, she suffered a fatal trip and fall accident on the Murdaugh property. Her death raised few questions at the time, but in the wake of the murders, the circumstances surrounding Gloria's death and a large insurance payout Alex Murdaugh received in her name began to come under scrutiny. Was her death simply a tragic accident, or yet another secret the Murdaugh family has managed to bury? Then there's the unsolved death of Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old who was found dead under mysterious circumstances in 2015. Stephen was a classmate of Buster Murdaugh, Alex's only surviving son. Although his death was initially ruled a hit and run, there were no skid marks or signs of impact that would normally be expected. The case was reopened after the murders of Maggie and Paul, leading many to wonder if the Murdaughs had more secrets than anyone could imagine. Rumors swirled that Stephen and Buster may have had a close relationship, raising suspicions about the true nature of his death. But was the Murdaugh family involved, or was it all just a coincidence? As the investigation into the murders of Maggie and Paul progressed, the community watched in shock as allegations and scandals surrounding Alex Murdaugh piled up. It wasn't long before allegations of financial misdeeds and fraudulent schemes came to light. Alex, it turned out, had allegedly embezzled millions of dollars from his clients and even his law firm. These revelations painted a picture of a man not only in financial ruin, but one who would go to great lengths to maintain his lifestyle and power. And then came the final twist. Alex Murdaugh himself was arrested and charged with the murders of his wife and son. The courtroom drama that ensued was full of twists and turns as prosecutors painted a picture of a man desperate to cover up his financial ruin, going so far as to stage the murders of his own family to gain sympathy and divert attention. Alex's defense argued that he was a broken man who had already lost everything. But the evidence was compelling, and in 2023, Alex Murdaugh was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the murders of Maggie and Paul. Today, Alex Murdaugh sits behind bars, while Buster Murdaugh is the last surviving family member. He has mostly avoided the spotlight, although he recently defended his father in an interview, maintaining Alex's innocence but admitting to the possibility of darker traits in his father. This admission has sparked further debate and speculation. Did Alex act alone, or was something deeper at play? The Murdaugh saga leaves us with more questions than answers. How did this family, once the epitome of Southern power and respectability, fall so catastrophically? Were the Murdaughs really hiding secrets all along? Or did a tragic combination of bad choices and unfortunate events finally catch up with them? In the end, we may never know the full story behind the Murdaugh family's downfall. But one thing is certain: their legacy in South Carolina will never be forgotten, and the mystery surrounding them will continue to haunt the Lowcountry for years to come. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mystery of the Murdaugh family. If you found this story compelling and want more in-depth explorations of unsolved mysteries, fascinating historical cases and hidden truths, please consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing and turning on notifications, you'll be the first to know about our latest uploads. Your support helps us bring these stories to light and create more content that will keep you engaged, curious, and always wondering what lies beneath the surface.